I'm still tired. I'm still tired, you guys. So, holiday boundaries, as it relates to uh, new beliefs, as it relates to those that are questioning, transitioning, um, I have a suggestion for you. Not that I always did everything right, because a lot of times, like, I'll do things with good intent, but the way I do it is too aggressive. It's too abrupt. Um, so use the velvet glove, not the iron fist, is what we're talking about. So, for instance, what I did when we first left the church, and now we've been out for a little over 3.5 years. What I did at first was I just like abruptly I said to my parents, like, there were several instances where they would talk to my kids, or my sister contacted my daughter and mentioned something about her baptism, and I just, I was in this place of, like, I was going to fight back. I felt like it was offensive. It was offensive to me. It's gotten to the point now, 3.5 years later, where we can actually kind of joke about things, which has been nice. But so, like, for instance, my mom will call and she said, "Hey, Sean, did you set your clocks back?" And I said, "Oh, Mom, thank you. Oh my gosh, had you not told me to set my clocks back, we might have missed church." And then my mom busts up laughing, and then I bust up laughing. So it's got to that point where it's kind of become banter and fun that way, which is great. It's great. But in order to get there, I think my family had to realize that, I'm not going to be consumed with religious things the rest of my life. Like, I need to go on living. I need to move on. And so that takes time. It takes time. But in the early days, I would be so triggered by so many things. In the early days after leaving the church, I set a boundary. I told my parents, hey, if you are going to say Mormon prayers at family gatherings, if you're going to be saying Mormon prayers, at holidays and so forth, then you're not going to say them. You're not going to say them if I'm there or if my children are there. And the reason I felt so strongly about it is I just don't want my children to hear, how grateful my parents are. My children look up to my parents. I don't want them to hear how grateful my parents are for President Nelson, who I never liked to begin with. If I'm being truthful, I never got good vibes from President Nelson. I was always suspicious of the general authorities, the brethren. Like, I was always feeling like these guys are a bunch of old, white, rich dudes that run the church. That's just the way it is. It's a privileged position they find themselves in, and they think they're rock stars. They think they're famous. They get off on all the notoriety. You see what I'm saying? And so for me, it's like, don't be revering these white privileged men. Don't be doing that, and don't be doing it around my children. So I said no Mormon prayers around my family. Do not talk to my children about the church ever. And I did that in a very aggressive way. I did that in a way that was like threatening, if you will. You don't have to go there. You need to set boundaries, but you can do it in a calm, in a way that demonstrates maturity and security, and in a way that's more like a peace offering. So that would be my recommendation, is if such things exist in your sphere and things are triggering for you, I encourage you to communicate with your family. They might think you're a little bit hyper, zealous in terms of that offends me and that's triggering and da-da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da. You're going to have to meet them in the middle a little bit, because they can't help themselves. Like, my mom still accidentally throws out every now and then. She'll be like, "Oh, I put your name on the temple rolls." And I'm like, woohoo, thanks, Ma. That's great. And then I'll get a laugh out of it. But early on when I left the church, if she brought up the temple or temple rules, I'd get pissed. I'd get offended. And so I just I hope that we're getting somewhere overall. I'm sure we are. With or without me, I'm sure things are changing and things are evolving for the better. Um, and that's exciting and that's good. I would hate for people to damage meaningful relationships, um, because that in and of itself, that is what the cult hopes for. And I do call it a cult. I will forever call it a cult because of the pain and the anguish and the suffering that I suffered in that environment. To me, it is an insidious cult. And I will never, ever, not ever will I, you can't get me to see the good in it. And that's where I'm operating from. And it's where I've been. It's where I've been for a very long time. It's not anger now. It's not hatred. It's more so just acknowledging that insidious cult hurt me badly, hurt me so bad. And I know a lot of you feel the same way. And therefore, now it's up to me to honor myself. It's up to me to honor my being. And for me to honor my being, I have to set boundaries. I have to. So you got to be brave. You might have to call the patriarch. That's part of what's wrong with this patriarchal hierarchy garbage, is that you might have to actually call your patriarch, family patriarch, your father. You might have to call him and say, "Hey, patriarch, in my opinion, you really should talk to both the patriarch and the matriarch of the family, whatever. I don't believe in any of that anymore, but you probably should talk to the mother and the father, probably the grandparents, together, and just tell them, this is how we feel. This is how we feel about our children. This is what we hope for. This is what we're willing to tolerate. This is what we're not willing to tolerate." And just open it up calmly and do so from a place of, this is important to us. Just last night, Owen said to his mom, and Owen's 7 years old, and out of nowhere, we're putting up a Christmas tree, and Owen says to his mom, "Mom, do you believe in Santa?" And Crystal, of course, was like, "Yeah." And then he says, "Do you believe in Jesus?" Now, that's a little bit more of a loaded question, isn't it? But our 7-year-old son, his response to, Crystal, or "Mom, do you believe in Jesus?" And Crystal's kind of like, "Oh, Hama, she don't know what to say to that." But Owen goes, "Mom, you really should believe in Jesus." Keep in mind, this is a boy who hasn't been to church since he was, since he was 4. He hasn't been to church. And it's still like socially, politically, in environmental conditioning, like he still thinks he needs Jesus. I don't know if he needs the historically correct black Jesus or the American white Jesus that never existed. But still, it's like that's what this environment has done to my children. And it goes on and on and on. Wanted to share with you guys, my son sings in the choir at his school, and they went to a choir performance. The choir performance had sponsors or, so forth. Encircle was there. And so all of the parents of all the children in the choir were there. And my son, he said that one of the speakers got up and said to this crowd of all these people, I don't know how many people were there, but it's parents of a lot of kids. And I wasn't there because I was at a soccer tournament. But he said that the speaker said, "How many of you support LGBTQ people?" And my son said like one person raised their hand in the entire crowd. And it was like there was giggling and chatter, and apparently then the person reframed the question, how many of you know people who do support LGBTQ? And I guess a lot of hands went up. But I get what unfolded was that, this is in St. George, Utah. What unfolded was it was supposed to be about underage drinking and suicide prevention. And apparently, one of the speakers got it going on the train of LGBTQ, which I could see why, because that's a high percentage of the kids and the teens that are taking their own lives is LGBTQ. And, it was just interesting, my son's observation of what unfolded and how once they got on that train of LGBTQ, they stayed on that train. And I could see why. Like, they're passionate about it. They want to help. They want to make a difference. But the parents in the crowd were offended, and they felt like a political agenda was pushed on them. I can see that side too, but I won't dismiss the fact that, hey, if we've got a group of 50 or 100 people there and we have an opportunity to teach that LGBTQ are one of the highest rates of suicide in the state, we need to teach that. How do you not? So I could see both sides, but apparently a lot of the parents, of course, Mormon parents, were very upset and expressing their displeasure. And, then they conspire together and petition, and they want to go to the teacher. So this is actually what unfolds. It's what happened is now the teachers, the choir teachers under fire and being criticized because, why? Because is it a political agenda? It's so stupid. But bottom line is, I wish I was there. I wish I was there because I swear to God, I swear to God, I don't even know who that is, but I can tell you this much. If I was there and they said, do you support LGBTQ? And only one hand went up, I am not joking. I would have been jumping up and down and yelling at the audience, what in the hell is wrong with you people? Get your damn hands up. I mean, we're talking about people. We're talking about people that don't feel welcome. We're talking about people that are hurting. And come on, you guys, where is the threat? We talked about this threat with my children this week, how we actually used to believe as Mormons that if LGBTQ was taught in our schools, that would potentially make our children choose to be gay. We actually believed that. That was what was taught to us. And you could say, show me in writing where that was taught. Well, I can't show you in writing. Someone probably has something, a video or something, but the overall premise around that was we can't have that taught. It normalizes it, and then my children will choose that. That's what I was taught in the Mormon Church. And you don't think we need to be brave and stand tall and require tolerance and set boundaries? Yes, this is all very important, but I'm learning we have to do it from a place of surety, from a place of security, from a place of, not from a posture of, I don't believe in that, and I'm going to make you sorry that you do. More so, can we come together? Can we come together? So, for instance, God. We actually believed that if they can't pray in school, and if they can't say God, if they can't say the Pledge of Allegiance with God in the name, or if God is not on money, then if we don't have that all being taught and shown and demonstrated, then our kids won't believe in God. It's just nutty. It's just nutty what we believed from the cult. You see what I'm saying? But again, for you that are newly out, I just want to encourage you, you don't have to go down the road that I went down, which was a road of, the iron fist. You don't have to do that. You could use the velvet glove. You can, are you going to have things happen from time to time that are going to trigger you, that aren't going to sit well with you, that are going to frustrate you? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You might be sitting at the dinner table for Thanksgiving, and someone will say, how's so-and-so doing on their mission? Oh, he's doing so well. oh my gosh, he's having so much success. There's so many people that are embracing the truth and he's baptized. And you're going to sit there and go, motherfucker. And you just have to sit there and you're steaming, you know. And I know this feeling of, and you just have to realize they're on autopilot. They're robots. They are on autopilot. They are robots. It's not personal. I don't think they're actually thinking, how can I give a little dig at Sean? Here's a little dig at Sean. Believe me, if they're going to do it to me, because I am a very outspoken person, I am a very protective person, if they're going to do it to me, they'll do it to everybody. They'll do it to anybody. It's autopilot. They don't even realize they're doing it. They don't even realize how offensive it is. So we can have a great holiday season. I just want to encourage everybody to focus on the relationship. See, the relationship with my brother is tainted, if you will, by the church. It is. It forever will be, because he was the one that activated in the church. He was the one that activated my entire family in the church. He's still the one who, for whatever reason, would I say that my brother, if you put a gun to his head, would say, yes, Joseph was a prophet, blah, blah. No, I don't think he would, but he's in too deep now. And now it's his pride and his identity. And it's too goddamn important for him to be right. People want to be right more so than they even want to be loved. Human beings, humans, not the being, humans want to be right. They want to be right more so than they want to be even loved. And so my brother's going to hold tight. He's going to keep doubling down. Maybe one day he'll open up and be honest around all of this. But for now, it's just a very low vibration, low vibration existence for him. And it's like the church is so successful because they knew what they were doing. They're inspired. That's why we have all that money. And he wants to be validated. He wants to feel like, and imagine if that's my brother who's 46, imagine a man that's in his 60s. Imagine a woman that's in her 70s. They don't want to admit that they spent 20, 30, somewhat years, 40, 50 years of their life believing in something that isn't so. They're never going to own up to it. It's their entire identity. It would make them wrong from their point of view. It would make their whole lives unsubstantiated. It would actually, mean, what did I do all this for? I served 4 missions. 4 missions I served teaching this to people. It would invalidate them. You think they're going to do that? God, no. So don't worry about getting them out. Who cares about getting them out? Focus on you. Focus on living your life. Forget about them. Forget about them in that sense. Focus on the relationship with them. He's my brother. I should love my brother. I should try to see the good in my brother. I should try to make a connection with my brother. And if I can't, it's okay. I don't have to hate on myself. If it's not clicking, that's okay. That's all right. That's all right. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything about you. Doesn't mean anything about him. That's fine. Find other people you connect with. It doesn't have to be family. But that's the way I'm feeling now, as I hope you guys can get there too. Maybe some of you are even beyond that. You're beyond where I am, because that's what I'm learning, is this is just a gradual progression. And I'm certain that in 3 years from now, and 5 years from now, and 10 years from now, I'm almost positive that I'll look back and I'll go, oh yeah, that was me, Sean, at that stage of my transition, that stage of my recovery, if you will. And wow, like I didn't think that things could get better. I didn't think that things, I didn't see that. I didn't know that. I didn't comprehend that. Who'd have thought? And that's what I'm experiencing at 3.5 years out, is like, damn, who'd have thought I could give a shit if my family leaves the church now? I could care less. It's like the furthest thing from my mind. All right. I hope this is helpful, you guys. I hope people like me who have been out longer. I hope they understand that the people that are newly out, they need us. Not that we know more than them, not that we are better than them, not that we have, anything on them, but it's just simple stuff. We left earlier. We've been through these progressions, and we can pass on those experiences. And why wouldn't we? Because could we potentially help you, assist you in avoiding pitfalls that we fell into? Yeah, we can help you avoid those pitfalls. And should you? Yeah, you should. You should avoid those pitfalls because they can be pretty traumatic and they can kind of hold you in limbo for longer. And I know you don't want to be there. Limbo sucks. All right, happy Thanksgiving, me family. Love you all.